Okay, good evening. This is day 27, I believe. Nighttime video again for practicing being on camera as a human with schizophrenia. And schizophrenia, as I say in front of all the videos, is it can be chalked up to a cognitive war or somebody experiencing a cognitive war. And after they experience a cognitive war that NATO describes, they are subject to criticisms of being insane and held out as mentally ill or diseased. And it is a real condition that I have because it's a condition that has been inflicted on me. So the schizophrenic reality is a real reality. And I've explained that in my videos, in previous videos. So it seems like it's hard to say because they're still investigating these fires. Right now, there's a fire at Hansen Damn, and Hansen is a name of a kid. When I was growing up, there was a kid named Eric Hansen, and he was bullied by people quite a bit, and so perhaps someone started that fire to say I'm being bullied, or I don't know. I'm not sure, but anyways, there seems like what's going on with these fires, and it happened right as I was eating, by the way. I had dinner and I had a little extra vegetables with my beef. I'm eating beef every day right now because it seems like whoever's doing these fires wants me to eat meat and eat keto, and if I don't eat keto, they start the fires, and yeah. So there's six separate fires, all started supposedly by accident or random accidents, and six separate fires and six separate random accidents doesn't sound believable to me, but it may be what the government is going to say is the cause of all the fires. I'm gonna want to do the da-da-da-da, but okay, so six separate accidents for six separate fires, and that seems to be where the government is headed in their announcements coming out or what's leaking out to the media. And to me, it's not believable, and it's really kind of so unbelievable that I don't know why the government is taking that tact, and why if these fires are man-made or whatever. And I think when you have six separate fires, it's out of six random accidents doesn't sound believable to me, but it's almost like you're trying to seem unbelievable. So if you're trying to seem that unbelievable, you have to ask yourself, well, then what was the motive of people starting the fires if they started the fires? And I've told you that I've been communicated through schizophrenic reality that these fires are conducted in relation to me in my house and not being on keto diet. And so, yeah, with regards to the fires, I started thinking like, this is one reason why I don't want to have a job, or because people will blame you for random things you do in your house and the fact that you have a hex put on you. And so I'm going to get into that in a second here, but I was going to talk a little bit about Michelle Obama and the fact that she's not going to show up to the inauguration. And I kind of understand it on one level because, as I understand it, Trump didn't show up to Biden's inauguration, and Trump tried to overthrow an election. And so he's praising Hitler's generals and stuff. And it's almost like when someone's smacking you across the face, are you going to keep giving your face out there to be smacked? And, you know, making a little statement like, I'm not showing up to your inauguration. It's it would have been a bigger statement in the past. I don't know if it's as big of a statement now when Trump has already set the ball rolling on that. But then on the other hand, you're like, you're trying to create some sort of norms, return to some norms, and have some sort of dignity and respect for the process of transfer of power, and you don't like to see it. So on the one hand, I understand it, but on the other hand, I don't like to see it because it's not in keeping with our traditions of peaceful transfer of power, and it's traditionally people, first ladies. It's like it's one thing for citizens not to tune in, but it's another thing for a former first lady to just do a no show. So that's I kind of go both ways on it, you know. So all right, so Pete Hegseth was in the nomination process today, and they were going after him with all these scandalous things of like being drunk and going to strip clubs and all this. And I'm supposed to be Pete Hegseth, and I've never been to a strip club or anything like that. So, but I think they're just going after him on these things to make him more palatable to the general public. They're trying to make him seem like an everyman, everyday guy when he's actually an entertainer on Fox News. And it's like Dave McCowan said, they pick up the dirt claws and they throw it at him. It's like a fake fight. And Hegseth is, I think he's representative of what's going on as a mock government potentially, and I write about that in my book. And I think there was a lady that wrote for LA Progressive that questioned the idea: are we running a mock government? And her name is Janet Phelan, and it's something that I definitely have seen experience. And when you see that Trump is nominating people like Mehmet Oz, like the Wizard of Oz or something, is supposed to be ahead of Medicare and Medicaid or something, and then you see like Linda McMahon or whatever, the WWE person, is the head of Department of Education. It seems like a mock government. And anyway, so this mock government, Hegseth, is supposed to represent me as like a hex. Hegs is supposed to be representative of a hex that has been placed on me by people either within the government or out of the government or Republican women, or I don't know. Somebody's placed some sort of weird hex on me, and that's why these fires get started, and that's why disasters and all kinds of crazy stuff get started, and they try to ruin your life and stuff like that. So it's all related to some sort of hex. I think that's what his name means. And I think Seth is supposed to be Set, who tried to overthrow the king or something like that. Classical music doesn't. Okay, so for the months leading up to this event, I have been listening to classical music on KUSC, and I started that while listening to that music with my niece in the car after we picked her up, and I had been listening to it for quite some time, but I got more and more into it, and I've downloaded the app for KUSC, and it's been really soothing, and it's really helped me get reading done, and really I just recently read an article that said that Beethoven's Fifth Symphony, 20 minutes of will kill 20% of cancer cells in bodies or whatever. They've done research on this, and so supposedly there's just like a frequency with which classical music gets played at that is very beneficial to the human body, and a lot of the music in the pop industry and in rock and stuff plays at a different kind of frequency, which is supposedly bad for the human body. It's not like a lot of certain types of music get played and it's like off chord. It's just not good, and it's not good for the human mind and body or whatever. So but with this fire, I have not been able to concentrate. I haven't really been able to do much reading. And I guess everyone is saying this is because we're all being traumatized and we are scared of winds. Wind can start a fire and engulf a town, and someone could light a match, and there's all kinds of, or a faulty wire could go, and so uh, you know uh, I haven't been able to listen to the classical music. It just doesn't seem to fit with what's going on. So I'm a little bit uneasy right now. This goes into another thing I saw on the news today was a guy that has a sprinkler system that he developed in which he hooks it up to people's pools, and the pool sets off a sprinkler to give your house a quote fighting chance. And this guy was saying we have to put up a fight. And I thought it was funny. It was a funny segment on the news because it was like they're saying you got to put up a fight, and it's like with what's going on, you have to wonder what does it mean to put up a fight? If you have pyro starting fires, then you need surveillance to put up a fight. If you have lasers putting up fires, you need defense industry to put up a fight because you need to know. And I'm not talking about war. I'm talking about defenses, like defenses against what Reagan would have done with nuclear weapons, which is Star Wars. But now we have some potentially fire wars started by laser, and you have to be able to determine who sent the laser and be held accountable on the world stage. And that doesn't mean I'm calling for war or anything like that, but I'm not for that because that's probably why we're in this mess to begin with. And so, but it's just like you have to monitor like what's going on, all the various ways fires can start, and we have to come to a conclusion. We have to know, did it start naturally? Did it start human hand? And what was the motive for the human hands? That way you can, like I say in the other video, you can't really address the problems in your society if you don't know the motives causing the problems. You know, uh, so I thought, and then plus on top of it, then you have global warming, and you have with this was largely fueled by a drought, and you have a drought in which we are still living the same way as people, and that is affecting the climate, and the climate is creating droughts in areas, particularly in California. Then you have weather manipulation, and so we need rain. That's what we need in California. And so how do we create rain as people? It's like the Native Americans did rain dances and stuff like that, and we have to do kind of a rain dance through a ritual lifestyle. And I just now in thinking about that right now, I'm being dictated to eat beef, and that's not necessarily good for the environment. So I'm not going to create rain by eating beef. So I'm going to try to move it to turkey burgers and stuff like that. And it's a mess. Like what? I mean, all right. So yeah, I thought that was funny that he said put up a fight, and it was like this little sprinkler going. It's like I think we need more of a fight like that. I think we need a collective fight on our hands as human beings and human society to fight the fires. And yeah. All right, so I was reading in my Clanlands book all about New Zealand, and there's a place in New Zealand called Dunedin, which is the Celtic name for Edinburgh, which is Edinburgh or Edinburgh in Scotland. And Dunedin is in New Zealand. It's a town that was started in the 1800s, not the 1500s, so it started a little late, but they were saying it was like exactly like Edinburgh. And, it just has palm trees and New Zealand style vegetation and stuff. And in this book, the actors were talking about the portraits that they were being toured in a castle or something like that. And they were talking about these people that were part of the Free Scottish Church, and they said their idea of free was precisely the opposite. And I'm running out of time to talk about that idea that they discussed or whatever, but it's just kind of funny and just like think about like so much has gone on the liberal side of things where people's idea of free is precisely the opposite. So much has gone on the conservative side where people's idea is precisely the opposite. And you know we have to be able. Anyway, okay, I'm gonna stop. All right.